everybody, this is Anna Kachikan and you're watching the Anna Report, where every Wednesday I sit with you guys and we discuss dating and relationships. And in honor of Father's Day, this Sunday, we are having our biggest giveaway ever on the Anna Report. It is a luxury shaving kit from ONEBLADE Shave. It is worth nearly $500. A lot of you were asking me, how is the winner going to be picked? And I decided I'm going to give that responsibility to Mom. Mom has got a strategy of how she's going to pick the winner. She's going to tell us during this live, so get ready for a good old, all caps, LOL. And then we've got our guest, Quentin Vennie, coming on the live with us. And Quentin and I are going to be talking about the modern father figure and men's mental health. It's going to be a jam-packed show. So let's get started. I'm going to pour myself a drink. I'm having whiskey. So I'm having my Macallan again. Let me know what you guys are drinking. Cheers. All right, so ONEBLADE is doing a giveaway to one lucky guy, Dad. This kit is valued at $449, and one lucky person is going to get this, the Genesis Black Tie Shave Kit. All right, so here's the Godfather in here, and it comes in a really nice leather case. So this is the traditional, it's an award-winning razor, all right? It's a traditional safety razor that has been basically with updated technology. It's stainless steel, hence why it's so heavy. It is really cleanly, sharply made. I love that it's so small but yet heavy and masculine. I don't want my man's stuff to take up a lot of room in the bathroom because I have a lot of stuff. And, you know, ONEBLADE's motto, you're probably thinking it's so expensive. Their motto is that you should invest on the products that go on your face, and I couldn't agree more. For someone who loves to take care of my skin, I think it's important to use a quality product on your face. This is the razor that comes in this really nice leather kit, and then you've got all the other stuff with it, right? You've got the brush. I like this like tuxedo brush, it's really cool. And then you got the shaving cream, which is so fluffy. By the way, I used it. I did. Shaved Aura. And these are the blades, and then it comes with this really cool little like dumpster that you can put your used blades in, and then the after shave balm. And if you opt in for this and you win, or you purchase it for yourself or gift or whatever, ONEBLADE has the option where you can go in for a subscription so that you don't have to worry about the blades and the refills. It just automatically gets sent to you, okay? Mom, are you ready? Are you ready to tell us how you want the winner to be chosen for this giveaway?
Yes, hi.
Hi. All right, what's your first option? Give us your first option.
First option is, what if I give you a number and you choose that winner number?
That's boring.
Okay.
Do you have another option?
Yeah.
Okay.
What if when you post a picture and the winner is the person who's gonna like the picture first and make a sweet comment first?
No, that's not fair.
So third one.
Okay.
What if you post a picture tomorrow and you tell the guys and the girls to write a funny story about their dads? I want to read funny stories about the dads or from the dads.
You want someone to be like, my dad farted on my cat and my cat died? Like, what story are you looking for? It's actually kind of funny. Funny stories about your dad.
Yeah.
So you're daring everyone who wants to win this to share a funny story. And then according to you, whoever leaves the funniest comment on my page, Instagram, Facebook, you're going to choose the winner. You're going to be like, that's the funniest one.
Yes. No making up stories.
Okay. Mom is choosing the winner based off the funniest story you share on my Instagram page. And I can post a picture. You guys can comment your funny stories there. It's got to be a true story from your dad. And women, the women, I mean, listen, if you're a woman, you have a funny story, please share it. You can totally win as well. So funniest story wins. Go to my Facebook page at Anna Kachikin or Instagram, anywhere, and write all the funny stories you've got. Yeah, you guys, bring on your funny dad stories. All right, so I'm ready to bring Quentin on now. Are you guys ready? Hi, Quentin.
Hello there.
Welcome. Thanks for taking the time to join us. Really quickly, I want to introduce to you to all the people who are watching. I was going to say all the guys. It's like majority are guys, but let's not exclude the women. You are an author. You wrote the book Strong in the Broken Places. You're a father of 2 boys, which I thought was so perfect. Yeah. Sorry. Right? Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yep. And you are a mental health advocate, and you also are a program director at Bent on Learning, which is a nonprofit organization that teaches yoga and meditation to kids in school in New York City.
Correct.
Am I correct? So I want to, if you can just tell us a little bit about the book you wrote, tell me about Bent on Learning and why mental health is so important to you.
Well, I wrote the book. It's a memoir, Strong in the Broken Places, a memoir of redemption and addiction and redemption through wellness. It was a story of my life. You know, I was born and raised in Baltimore. My father was a heroin addict, was raised by a single mom. You know, I saw and experienced things that, you know, most people should never experience. You know, my relationship with my father was pretty much null and void at that point. You know, I ended up getting involved in the streets myself. And then, you know, I was 14 when I was diagnosed with acute anxiety and depression, was told that I needed to be on medication. Because I was a minor, I couldn't make that decision. So my mother rejected the idea. When I was 26, I was officially diagnosed with severe generalized anxiety and panic disorder and mild to severe major depressive disorder. At that point, was given medication. Spent 2 years addicted to my anxiety medication. Survived an accidental overdose and 2 suicide attempts. And was fortunate enough to find health and sustainable healing through the modalities of yoga and meditation and kind of shifting my perception and changing my diet. So I wrote the book because, you know, I was doing a lot of writing and sharing my story on different online platforms. And, you know, I realized that there were millions of people that could relate to what I was experiencing. So I felt like, you know, we're all here to be of service. And I felt like that was the greatest way I could be of service.
You mentioned suicide, you mentioned anxiety, depression, the pills, and that is something that I think so many people, I know so many people can relate.
Right.
Sometimes, like right now, I have an ice pack, a full-blown anxiety now, you know? And everybody has their way of controlling their anxiety, and you've experienced it just full blown, and so I commend you for everything. I want you to talk to everyone in a way where, you know, like, I just know everyone watching has experienced anxiety on a spectrum, on a level of some sort, right? And personally, me, I began experiencing panic attacks for the very first time when I was working at TMZ. It was a very high stress job environment. It was really, it got to a point where I remember driving to work and saying, can I just crash into this wall right now and die? I don't want to get there. I don't want to go there. I don't want to get there. I don't want to get there. And someone got me into meditation. And at the time, this app called Headspace was like popping
Yep.
up. And I started Headspace, and I kid you not, it changed my life. You know, it doesn't have to be Headspace.
Right.
It could be any app. It could be any form of meditation. Why is it that it works? Because it works for me. Why? Because you are the program director where you're teaching this to kids. It should be taught. What is it about meditation? Why? Like, I just keep telling all my friends and family, I'm like, just start meditating.
No, I think meditation is of the utmost importance because it allows you to take time out and to return to self. You know, it actually has been scientifically proven to rewire your brain to actually reduce overwhelm, stress, anxiety, and actually enhances things like creativity, focus, so on and so forth. So
Stephen Bringus, just literally the second you said scientifically, he said, meditation doesn't work, it's a placebo.
I mean, I'll say this.
It's
I'm living proof that it works.
me too.
You know, millions and millions of people, we're not wrong. You know, we're not, you know, we all have a shared experience. And within that shared experience, we have a responsibility to be almost like accountability partners to one another, which is why like we're having these types of dialogues and having this type of conversation. It would be a disservice for me as someone that's of service to say, you know, to try to reject his opinion on meditation. My response to that is try a different route. There are different forms, different types of meditation. Maybe the one you tried just didn't work for you at the moment. But to just completely expel the idea and say that, you know, everyone that's talking about it and practicing it is wrong, you know, is doing the practice a major disservice. You know, somebody I come from Baltimore. You know, was born and raised in one of the roughest, most dangerous, violent cities in America, where, you know, we don't even have the very basic of necessities. Yet I'm 30 plus years old and I travel to teach to teach meditation to help people deal with anxiety and depression. You know, the reality is statistically and based on the standards set forth in society, I shouldn't even be alive. You know, so the fact that, you know, I've been able to channel all of my experiences into a practice that's helped me and countless others, you know, I think it's phenomenal.
And so for someone who's starting out, what would you say? Just start with an app? You know, I remember one time I started with I tried a different app, not Headspace, and I remember thinking, I don't like this person's voice. The voice was just getting on my nerves. So on to the next one.
Yeah.
You know, I just kept trying different ones until I found one that I like. I personally like Headspace. See what works for you. But other people said, you know, you can also try exercise is great. Yoga. You also mentioned juicing. Yeah. You know, your diet and the juices, how significantly it has helped you. But let's talk about the modern day father figure. You're a dad yourself, and I want to talk about the modern day father figure because I want to talk about the dads who are now fathers, who are the modern day, and they're trying to juggle the two. You know, the what it means to be a dad, what it means to be a dad today, and all the difficulties of life and controlling your mental health. The suicide rates being extremely high amongst men, especially. You know, I pulled up the statistics here, and it says men die by suicide 3.5 times more often than women, and white males accounted for 7 of 10 suicides in 2016. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. And the rate of suicide is highest in middle-aged white men in particular. There is something to be said about mental health and suicide and men all combined together, and I just thought you were the perfect person for this. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Well, to speak on the modern day father, right? Like it's a very interesting conversation, and you and I, we talked about it a little bit, you know, what was it, yesterday, you know, offline. But interestingly enough, I think we the modern day father, as well as modern day masculinity, needs to be challenged and changed. You know, I was I didn't have my father growing up. You know, my father
Mhm.
was he was a victim of the heroin epidemic, but I was able to experience like how my grandfather used to be, right? And you know, the way things were back then, you know, it was the man went out. He worked at a factory or whatever. You know, he had a corporate job. He came home. He brought home the check. The wife stayed home. She took care of the kids. She cooked. She cleaned. So on and so forth.
Yep.
That's not reality anymore. You know, more than ever, you have women that are entrepreneurs and owning businesses. You have women that are executives and CEOs of organizations. You also have men that are that have gotten out of that, you know, that mindset and that way of
Yeah.
life. You know, to speak on it, for instance, myself, when my eldest son was born, I stayed at home. I was a stay-at-home dad for a year. You know, gone are the
How did you feel? How did you feel at the time back then when it was all new to you, being a dad, being a stay-at-home dad? What was that like for you, and how did you, um, adapt to that?
it was difficult.
Because society didn't expect it
Of
at the
course
time,
not.
right?
No,
Yeah.
and you know, it was difficult, but it was exciting because I mean, for me personally, I've never been one to go with the trends, right? Like I believe in doing what you authentically feel, right? So I've never been, you know, one to question my own masculinity, right? I'm the guy that'll go out and get a manicure and pedicure, you know, and still come home and take care of my children. And I don't feel like there's anything that's more masculine than being responsible, you know, for your actions, your behaviors, and for the people that rely on you the most. Challenging this idea of what it means to be a man is a necessary part of a progressive conversation. I'm not going out into the woods hunting ox and bringing it home for my wife to. I'm not doing that. Like, you know, I feel like it's time for men to allow themselves permission to be human beings, to be complex, to be vulnerable, that they don't always have to be, you know, this idealistic construct of, you know, whatever society thinks that a man should be.
How would you describe the ideal modern dad?
For me,
Who is he?
I think the ideal modern dad is the hands-on father. He's the one that changes the diapers, the one that, you know, takes them to the soccer game. He's the one that's driving the minivan. He's the one that owns he may own his own business or work from home. You know, he's the one that's heavily involved, you know, cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, picking out clothes, ironing, doing all the things that women were supposed to do. And you know, I think the modern day dad really shares the responsibility of the modern day mother.
I like that. And so how does the modern day dad incorporate mental health into his schedule, into his life?
I think the modern day father is not afraid to be vulnerable. And because he's not afraid to be vulnerable, he's not afraid to express himself emotionally and not just through anger and frustration as we're known to do. So I think
well, in your defense, and I'm gonna get attacked for this, but that's again totally fine. You know, science says the reason why you have anger issues is because you have more testosterone, and so if it's true, not if it is true, right? If it's the testosterone, it's the hormones that trigger this sort of like, you know, the behavior, the loud and the this. How do men control that?
we have to first start accepting responsibility for it. You know, nothing can change until we acknowledge an issue, right? Like if this is our normal, like I came from a world where chaos was my normal. So I could have perpetuated and continued that cycle, or I could have just, I made the decision for myself to change that because it wasn't, it didn't propel my progress. It didn't move me into a better place. It kept me stagnant. It kept me going through, you know, everything that I was complaining about and, you know, everything that was distasteful. I feel like we have the ability to control our behaviors if we allow ourselves to. We can blame it on testosterone and we can blame it on hormones. We can blame it on all of that. But at the end of the day, there's a level of responsibility that every man has to take. You can have all the testosterone in the world and, can still be a well-rounded, mellow fellow.
That's like my mom the other day. We were talking and she was just like, can't blame it on your period. I don't care. You're at work. Let's go. And I said, she wasn't telling me she was venting about, and I thought, yeah, but that's no excuse.
No.
Same thing. I don't care. Not that I don't care, but it's just like,
I mean, yeah.
You got to take responsibility for you.
At the end of the day.
You can apologize. You can say, I'm sorry.
Right.
That was uncalled for.
Absolutely.
I need to be more mindful, which is where meditation comes.
This is where vulnerability comes in. Because generally speaking, and I can speak for myself, I usually would react in anger when my feelings were hurt and I was defensive. And I didn't want to express that. I didn't want to say what you did or what you said hurt my feelings. Right. I just reacted and I would start throwing shit and, and just be violent and yelling and screaming. That was my defense mechanism. That was my way of being like, I'm not necessarily angry. I'm hurt. I just don't know how to express that in any other way. Growing up, you're always told to be a man. You got to suck it up. You got to be tough. You got to, all of these other bullshit cliches. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it created me. It forced me to feel like I didn't have the right to have an emotion. I didn't have the right to react in anything outside of anger. That was the only emotion that I could have that was acceptable. Right. So it's like, as I got older, I had to realize, like, wait a minute, this is destructive behavior. This isn't going to do anything for me. Right. So I had to make the conscious choice, which I still do to this day. I'm not perfect. Right. Like meditation, yoga, all of these things are practices and they keep me level headed. Right. I'm not perfect. So I still have those moments where, I blow up and, and act irrationally. But I also still have to sit back, take that responsibility, and every day put one foot in front of the other until I get to where I need to go.
What advice do you have for single dads?
Time is more important than money.
The time spent with your kids?
Absolutely. I've, being in the running my own business for 7 years and being in the wellness industry and traveling and speaking and doing all of these things, I've missed a lot, and you don't get that back. And, we have to, it's very important, in this day-to-day, fight to create a better life for our children than we have for ourselves. It's very easy to get to get consumed with just work, and it's only about work and it's only about, making $1. And we neglect to realize the importance of just one-on-one time.
And on that note, when you're talking about so many people are so consumed with work and work and work, what do you say to guys who are afraid of becoming dads because of all of that?
We have to face fear with faith. If it's not, I don't believe that every person is meant to be a parent. If that's something that, you're really just not for, then I would recommend you not do it, because we already have enough people that go through, trials and tribulations. We don't need to continue to add that, to the population. So, but if it's just you're afraid because of overwhelm or stress or I'm not ready or, it's not enough, not enough money.
The societal pressures, like they want it, but there's just so much pressure from society. I'm meeting a lot of guys who have that issue, who do want to be dads, but they're just like, when, how, this, that, like, and women, right? Like women feel the same thing, but for guys, like, what would you say to those guys?
I mean, the reality is, you're never going to be 100% ready for the one thing that's the biggest, one of the biggest changes and sacrifices in your life that you're ever going to make. At the end of the day, if this is something that you're ultimately looking forward to, embrace it. It's a journey. You're going to learn more from them than they probably will from you. and you're going to learn from each other, and it's going to be a beautiful process and a beautiful journey with a lot of ups and downs, but it's well worth it.
How have you seen yoga and meditation change the lives of kids that you work with?
Oh, I've seen it change their lives very much in the same way that I've seen it change mine and my children's. You know, they found an outlet that allows them to be calm. It allows them to be vulnerable. It teaches them that they don't have to associate themselves with the behaviors, right? Like they can separate the emotion from the person. You know, they can address a situation. I mean, and I'm talking third graders, second graders, you know, all the way up to high school kids that are nervous about going to college, and they're, you know, going to implement these mindfulness practices, you know, to help stay focused, you know, and you know, driven toward their goals. You know, so, you know, the organization Bent on Learning, we teach primarily in schools of underprivileged and underserved communities. You know, so these are individuals and families that wouldn't otherwise have this resource that we're able to provide. You know, and I've just seen, you know, an incredible shift and change. I've only been with Bent on Learning for 6 months, but I've been doing the work for the past 6 years, and you know, it's just been an amazing ride.
Tell me if you agree with me, but I feel like I'm not a parent yet, but I would imagine like my kids, the second you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you meditate.
Yeah.
It's just a part of the ritual of their morning.
Absolutely.
You know, and and I know meditation is open for everyone, but what in Bent on Learning, would you guys do 10 minutes, 30 minutes? What's your focus? What do you recommend for the kids? Where do you recommend them to start?
Well, with the program, with Bent on Learning, it really depends on the needs of the school or the classroom that we're teaching in. But, you know, as a father that has taught his children meditation, you know,
yeah, what have you taught your kids? What's
the protocol is, you know, 10 minutes before we leave the house. You know, you sit, you close your eyes, you find a comfortable seat, and you count your breathing. You count your breath, 5 count inhale, 7 count exhale. And you do it until you hear the alarm go off. And we sit down and we do it as a collective.
Very cool.
It's vital.
I'm telling you guys, it works like magic.
It's vital.
The first, I want to say month and a half, 2 months, it's pure torture. It really is. I remember it being like a devastating experience.
Yeah.
Because you have to sit there and count your breath when the whole problem is that you can't breathe.
Right.
So now you want me to focus on something I can't do even more. It's
torture. Mm-hmm.
But the second you do it, it is the most amazing feeling, because I remember when it happened to me, I had just turned 30, and I thought, I am not about to start my 30s and not know how to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm 30 years old and I don't know how to breathe. So now when I am having a problem, I always say, I'm like, I learned how to breathe at 30. I can fly at 30. Like,
absolutely.
You know, I can overcome any fear or whatever. You know, it's like you learned how to breathe.
Yeah.
I'm just such a huge advocate of meditation and mindfulness. And if there's any takeaway, everyone who's been watching today with Quentin and I can learn is that we are huge advocates of mindfulness and meditation, and it works. Just give it a try. You know, anxiety and depression is a real issue. It's
alive and well. You know, but it doesn't have to defeat us. It can be a part of us, but it doesn't have to be the biggest part of us. We have the power to take certain things into our control and into our own hands. You know, and as long as we believe it and we stay diligent in our fight, then, you know, there's nothing we can't do.
And there are free apps you can find in the App Store and try it out. And as I said, if one voice is getting on your nerves, try another app. There's so many of them out there. But just sit there 10 minutes every morning before, after you brush your teeth.
Absolutely.
Just do it.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
Just do it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thank you so much, Quentin. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
And I wish you well. Hope to have you back on the live. And happy Father's Day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for the
and
opportunity.
You should definitely opt in, and maybe you might win with a funny dad story. So if your kids have a funny story about you, Mom decided she's going to choose a funny story.
All right. Count me in.
Bye. So Mom has been reading the comments while Quentin and I were talking. She wants me to read Jeremy Matthews' comment. Jeremy and Stacy. So Jeremy says, I work in a highly competitive, highly stressful job. I actually got fired for doing what my therapist said to do, close my eyes and pick 3 sounds and try to identify them. I was accused of sleeping on the Jeremy! What the fuck? Did you tell them you were meditating and not sleeping on the job? Or did you really fall asleep? Because sometimes when it's early morning and I'm meditating, sometimes I do tend to fall asleep because it's so calming. Stacy says, hats off to all the men that are juggling all the duties involved with relationships and parenting. Stacy, amen. I totally agree with you. Yesha says, I'll be honest, I thought suicide rates would be potentially higher in the Black community given the statistics of broken homes, absentee fathers, having the odds stacked against you from conception. I have to thank Quentin again for coming on the live with us. And I want to remind everyone, again, the giveaway. We're doing the Father's Day giveaway on the Anna Report. And, hold on. It's going to fall on me. It's the ONEBLADE shaving kit valued at $449. If you want to win this, according to Mom, she's going to pick the winner. You have to comment with a funny story, a dad story about your dad, if you're a dad, your story, anything. The funniest comment on Instagram, on Facebook, it doesn't matter what photo, go leave a funny story. The funniest story wins. All right? So good luck. Don't make up fake stories, please. We want to read actual stories, so keep it real. Don't be extra. Trust me, I can sense I can smell bullshit from a mile away, all right? Just ask Ara, he knows. So be honest, share a funny story, and I will see you guys next Wednesday. Happy Father's Day, and good luck. May the best dad win. All right? Cheers.